You deserved everything you got. This is a Union City.
That is a Philadelphia tradition.
Seize the means of podcasting.
Oh, God, the boss has crushed us.
Let me tell you one thing else.
In oldie-timey times.
The pleasure of the flesh is in solidarity.
We will not raw dog reality for that one.
It's going to be wholly unprofessional.
The Scab Buster.
What have we become?
Keep together strong. Let that be your mantra.
Solidarity. Solidarity forever.
With so much drama in labor history, it's kind of hard being a couple podcasting G's. But we somehow, some way, keep coming up with funky-ass stories all about the working class history of Philadelphia and the surrounding world. My name is Y to the Young, S to the Sam, J to the James, and today in the studio I'm joined by MC Gabe, Solidarity, Christie. Gabe, how are you today?
I'm Gabe Christie, and I'm deeply uncomfortable with what's going on right now.
You are always deeply uncomfortable whenever I open my mouth.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just generally deeply uncomfortable all the time.
I think you live in fear that, like, at any moment I could open my mouth and, like, end this whole podcasting venture with one badly timed joke.
I don't think so. I'm just generally an uncomfortable person.
Oh.
But that's more so just anxiety.
Oh.
So,
well, they have pills for that, Gabe. If I haven't taken all of them.
I mean, I need to actually get around to like getting back into therapy. That's a whole thing.
What a way to start. All right.
Anyway.
All right. I like starting off our podcast with Snoop Dogg lyrics and Gabe's personal demons that he's fighting at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But today we're going to learn about what?
So I realized we haven't really talked that much about the illegally occupied lands of southern Pennsylvania, which some people incorrectly refer to as Delaware.
Okay.
And we should also, of course, note that this was first stolen from the Delaware tribe, and then later stolen from Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. Ooh.
And both are deeply upsetting. One is obviously significantly much worse than the other. But more specifically, we're going to be talking about the capital city of Delaware, Wilmington.
Oh.
Which has some cool history. And one of their first like major strikes was in 1885 and into 1886. This is going to span almost a solid year.
Okay.
For the Wilmington, Morocco strike.
Wilmington, Morocco strike?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep.
What does that mean?
Well, first we should explain what Wilmington is. So it's a city 30 minutes southwest-ish of Philly. It's straight down 95, sitting on the convergence of the Brandywine Creek and the Christiana River. I realized it's not 30 minutes, it's 30 miles.
Mm-hmm.
Because 30 miles on 95 takes about 3 years, depending on the time of day. So, like most East Coast cities, European settlement started in the late 18th century, and this region along the Delaware River started with Swedes and then Dutch and then later English. Folks all coming in. Okay. And actually I realized this doesn't include the Finns.
Not the Finns.
Because supposedly what the Swedes would do is send Finnish like lumbermen and lumberjacks out first. And so they would go and clear cut a chunk of forest, set up log cabins, and then the Swedes would come in and kick the Finns out and take over their cabins. And then set up a trading post. So Wilmington became another really important port city. It had basically the same advantages of Philly in that, like, it was protected from storms, had some river access, but not being Philly, it was slightly more shitty.
I mean, it was in Delaware, so
yeah,
and exactly. I hear it still is.
Yeah, supposedly, because my plans for conquest of Delaware have not come to fruition yet.
Why would you want to conquest Delaware, Gabe?
Settler colonialism, mostly. I mean,
okay.
Pennsylvania needs Lebensraum. So
Pennsylvania ain't big enough.
Yeah.
We need some breathing room, you know?
So Wilmington continued to grow. Didn't become an official city until 1832, which is way late.
Wow.
By like East Coast capital city standards.
That's crazy.
And then when the Baltimore, Wilmington, and Philadelphia Railroad was completed, it really became like this center point on another point on that kind of East Coast transit network.
Okay.
Which just tied it into all of the industry all along the coast. So by 1880, it had a population of 42,478. And it was a relatively diverse city. There were a lot of immigrants. There was a sizable black population, because also Delaware was one of the later states to abolish slavery.
They'll get around to it, Gabe.
Yeah. They're... For a supposedly northern state, they have some interesting history around that.
Delaware's lost in the void.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really call it a northern state.
Yeah, it's weird.
It exists.
But, so now the other part of this, we've talked about Wilmington, and now Morocco. So Morocco, in this context, is a type of leather.
All right.
So it did originate from Moorish tanners in North Africa, and Spain as well. And they were using skin from the Sokoto Red breed of goat, and making a really, really fine, super soft leather. That was very popular. And in the normal white people way to do things, by the 18th into the 19th century, white industrialists had co-opted this term and started calling any soft, fine leather Morocco.
All right. That's fine.
Yeah.
Just white people things.
Yeah.
We're very simple
so,
people.
Yeah. And so they had, fine leather goods became really, really popular by the end of the 19th century. And it was a pretty big industry. And Wilmington, Philadelphia, and Boston became like the hubs of Morocco production in the US at the time. And I think that was mostly because they had ties to some of the Atlantic trade. Because as we'll get into a little bit later, it was actually a fairly international system at this point.
Oh, okay.
Surprisingly. Because you don't think about 19th century leather production as being international.
Oh, I think about that all the time, Gabe.
Yeah. And it's your Roman Empire. So Wilmington was also one of the prominent leather producing cities.
Okay.
And there was something called the Morocco Manufacturers Exchange. And that was a trade or an organization of business owners who had basically come together in order to be a lobbying group to make sure that they got tariff protections so that they didn't get undercut by French leather producers.
It's okay when the employers form a union, though, Gabe.
Yeah. At some point, I should probably learn the whole Woody Guthrie rant about the employers are allowed to organize and so is allowed to organize, but if I say the word union, I'll be put in jail.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that Morocco Manufacturers Exchange, the president of it was a guy named J. Park Postles. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Okay.
But anyway, he was one of the leading leather manufacturers in Wilmington, and also a prominent Democratic politician in Wilmington. So you had a lot of fun convergence of business and politics.
I'm glad it's nothing new. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing new under the
It's
sun.
woven into the fabric of this country.
Yeah. Now all of that leather was, of course, made by, well, it was first, I guess, made by goats, and then turned into leather by people.
The goats should unionize.
Yeah. And the work wasn't easy. It was still like, because it's a vegetable tanned leather, so it's slightly safer than the like chrome tanned leather and all the other horrible chemicals, but it's still not easy. So basically, what they would do is the goats or the skins would come from South America, where they were first slaughtered and skinned by, it was stated that they were coming from native peoples somewhere in South America, not listing what country.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so that was, I mean,
with the working conditions,
I think Brazil still had legalized slavery at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know if the skins came from Brazil, but anyway, yeah, probably some interesting labor practices going on.
No, I don't even want to think about it, Gabe.
Yeah. Well, luckily, neither did the people working on the leather who went on strike in this story. So we're going to gloss over that real quick.
So the people who got it the worse off, the original workers who were slaughtering the animals, and the fucking animals we're not going to talk about anymore. We're done. All right, good.
Nope. Yep. That is the joys of having a podcast that focuses on a 50-mile radius around Philadelphia.
Sorry, we can't deliver to your part of the street.
Yeah. So then once they came up to the workhouses on the East Coast, they'd be soaked in vats of tannins and then like basically beaten continuously on washing boards. Then while they were still like soaking wet and very soft, they'd be sewn into bags or whatever their final form is, could be gloves or what have you. And the workforce doing all of this was actually fairly diverse in Wilmington. There was one visitor who like did the weird like industrial tours that people used to do, where they'd like go around workhouses and just write down what they saw. And
like people, like reporters, or just random people walking through your factory.
It wasn't like, this wasn't necessarily, it kind of was journalism, but it wasn't like an investigative piece to look at working conditions.
Okay, you're just like, can I walk around the floor for a while? And they're like, yeah, sure, why not, I guess.
Yeah. And then you would write down like, oh, well, these jolly Irishmen are all hard at work.
I was going to say like, oh, there's a child's limb coming out of that spool over there.
Yeah. Well, you have to dress it up a little bit more so that you get invited back.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
So the child is learning an important lesson on safety. That's what you saw. So the guy described it as if I'm not mistaken, they had Swedish workers in the basement of the factory. Then they had young women, or probably like teenage girls, sewing all of the leather into bags. Then they had black workers stuffing the bags with sumac dust and refilling them with water, which I'm guessing was just a way to like get that final shape so that they didn't, as they dried, they didn't crinkle up or wrinkle up. And then at the top floor of the factory, they had Irishmen doing all of that, or beating everything on washboards to soften them. So while you had a diverse workforce, each job was still segregated. And yeah, so like mild progress.
For once, the Irish are at the top of the pyramid here.
They actually had the hardest job.
God damn it. God damn it.
Yeah, but which is also, well, it was surprising that they were giving the Irish workers the hardest job, as opposed to the black workers, because it's the 1880s, and that was generally what they did because they were all racist assholes. But that could also have just been the writer going through, not actually knowing what he was looking at.
I guess so. Yeah, that's true.
It's hard to say. Regardless, I don't think anyone's job in this factory was easy.
No.
So the companies making all of the fine leather goods also became incredibly wealthy. And we're going to start talking. Yeah. We're now going to talk about one company, not in Wilmington, but in Haverhill, Massachusetts.
All right.
Which is just north of Boston.
That's a little bit out of our 50-mile range.
Yeah, we'll get back into range. Right. So Clerk and Lennox, which is two gentlemen who had set up a Morocco factory up in Haverhill. And they were facing a problem in July of 1885 because their workers were all organized with the Noble and Holy Order of the Knights of Labor.
Hey, our old friends.
Yeah. So we've talked about them before. And I think we mentioned that they had a lot of like very weird secret rituals.
Yes.
And from my understanding of it, it was also like every local assembly made up its own rituals to a certain extent. Which I kind of
like.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to join a secret organization, go all in.
Yeah.
I want handshakes. I want the whole deal.
They also, one thing I hadn't realized is that the titles, like Chief Master Workman and all of that, while the national titles for the organization as a whole were like standardized, every local came up with its own names for like your local leadership. So that could get really confusing. When you have like one guy showing up as the Chief Master Workman, the other guy showing up as the Master Chief Workman, then like 6 other different combinations of that. But the more importantly for this story, they had all of these secret, like I'm assuming secret handshakes.
Yeah.
And they really didn't like it when someone revealed those secrets to anyone outside of the order.
Well, yeah, that secret organization. That's kind of like, yeah.
That's what you're supposed to do.
That's a big no-no.
So one of the members at one of the members who worked at Clerk and Lennox was a worker by the name of Michael Collins. Apparently exposed the secrets of the Knights to an outsider.
Oh no!
And was thus expelled from the order. Now, he was still allowed to work in the factory. He wasn't fired. But he was no longer, he was like persona non grata among the order.
Okay.
And so things kind of went fine until Clerk and Lennox appointed him foreman. And that immediately became a problem because no self-respecting Knight of Labor would work under someone who had been expelled from the Knights.
Yeah.
So they immediately issued a demand to Clerk and Lennox saying, hey, you have to fire this guy. We are not going to work under him. And obviously Clerk and Lennox refused because they didn't really care, which is why they promoted him in the first place. So they refused to negotiate. And as such, on July 20th, 1885, 45 blasters who were finishers, basically, like leather finishers.
That's a badass name, though.
Yeah.
I would love to be a blaster. I would love to be a blaster who was expelled from the order.
Oh, Laster.
Oh, a Laster?
That's
not that cool.
No. It's not as cool of a name. but we'll call them blasters from now on.
They're blasters.
Yeah. So 45 blasters went on strike. And that strike very quickly became violent. It very quickly expanded beyond just those 45 blasters, to every member of the order who worked at Clerk and Lennox. So the company tried to use non-union labor to fill in. So they brought in scabs. Then on August 1st, a group of 50 strikers had formed up out front of the factory, just at the close of business, and they started to hoot at scabs as they left their shift.
Okay.
So they followed the men down to River Street, where a fight broke out. Basically, two groups came to blows almost immediately. And the next day, warrants were set out for the arrest of 5 strikers, 2 for intimidation, and 3 for assault. I'm still not clear how exactly you get arrested for being intimidating.
It was all that hooting.
Yeah, very, very violent hooting. So after that, Clerk and Lennox said, we're going to bring in the cops to protect our scabs. And presumably they did so. There wasn't a huge amount of violence that I could find after that, so I'm assuming there was a lot of police around.
You don't hear a lot about the cops coming in to protect the protesters or the strikers, you know? Surprisingly not.
There's probably something to that.
Okay. We'll talk about that one later, Gabe.
Yeah. So it's unclear when exactly this process started, but I'm assuming it was around the time that the strike started. But by August 27th, Clerk of Clerk and Lennox had set up a new leather finishing factory in Wilmington, Delaware. And this was probably because Wilmington had a reputation for being a non-union town, and a very exploitable, and having a very exploitable workforce.
Nice.
Yeah. So he was basically trying to offshore production from New England down to Delaware.
The Delaware.
Which is actually something that still happens today, because Delaware is still has a lot of anti-union legislation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he offshored the finishing production down to Wilmington in order to circumvent the strike. And it also sounded like they might move all of their production down to Wilmington, basically so they could not have to deal with the union at all.
Yeah. Significantly less hooting in Delaware.
Yeah. And additionally, they were also able to pay the workers in Wilmington 35 cents less per dozen hides than their counterparts up in Haverhill.
Nice.
Yeah. So they were winning on both accounts here.
But those dues, Gabe, those dues up in New England, it offsets that price point there, buddy. That pay rate, you know what I'm talking about? It's those dues, you gotta watch those dues.
You can buy a lot of whatever the 1880s equivalent of an Xbox was.
Of an Xbox, yeah.
You can buy a lot of sticks and hoops.
A literal box.
Yeah. You just carve an X in it.
I used to have a box. Now it's my X box.
Hey.
There you go. There's the joke that ends the podcast.
Knights of Labor obviously had to respond to this in some way.
But no one knew about it because it was so fucking secret.
Exactly.
It's like, how do you decipher this?
For a very secret organization, well, I should also say by the 1880s, they were technically public.
Okay. Were they very racist to Chinese people at this point?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad we're at this point of the Knights of Labor where they were very racist.
Yeah.
Great.
Doing newspaper searches for Knights of Labor, half of it was strikes, half of it was them being like, we cannot allow another Chinese person in this country.
Oh, you Knights of Labor.
Looking at their reasoning for being extremely racist against Chinese immigrants was, from my understanding, mostly that none of them spoke Mandarin or Cantonese. And they just assumed that, like, well, if you can't speak English and if you can't be bothered to learn, then there's no possibility of us ever organizing you. And then coupled with just normal European white supremacy. But
yeah, I guess so.
If they had Duolingo back in the 1880s,
Yes.
it might have been a very different organization. Duolingo, stop using AI and sponsor us. That's how you get sponsors. You
All right.
criticize their labor practices. Getting back to this, Knights of Labor, very racist against Chinese immigrants, but didn't have a leather workers assembly in Wilmington yet.
Yeah.
But they did have District Assembly number 94 in Philadelphia.
Okay.
So delegates from DA 94 went down to Wilmington and started organizing workers at the new Clerk and Lennox factory that had just opened up. Because they had gotten word that this from the folks up in Haverhill that this was happening, and they're like, all right, we need to go nip this in the bud.
I like it.
So after about a month-ish of organizing, they had enough people ready to go out on strike.
Damn.
And on October 5th, 1885, Thomas Dempsey marched out front of the Clerk and Lennox factory in Wilmington and held up a placard reading, "All Morocco finishers are requested to keep away from the factory of Clerk and Lennox until the present labor difficulties are settled, by order of District Assembly number 94, Knights of Labor." They actually had two signs, both of which that said that.
Okay.
For this, Dempsey was almost immediately arrested and charged with disorderly conduct and also possibly inciting a riot. But very quickly, all 20 of the finishers at the Clerk and Lennox factory were out on strike.
All right.
3 of the men were allowed to continue to work because they weren't fully trained leather finishers yet. So the Knights of Labor let them continue working in the factory. The 1880s strikes or 19th century strikes are very strange, especially in like semi-industrial
Yeah, that's weird.
settings
It's
like this.
they let them finish their training. Like, okay, now you can go on strike.
Yeah.
That's, I don't know.
Yeah. We're also in that weird transition period between like apprentice system and industrial systems.
Yeah.
And so you have like this industrial apprenticeship that sort of exists. And yeah, work practices in this period are very confusing.
Very interesting.
So the strike went on, and for some reason, the judge delayed Dempsey's sentencing for over 2 weeks, which meant that the police felt that they couldn't arrest anyone for picketing because they didn't really know like what the judge thought was legal or not. So Dempsey was basically held on bail still.
All right.
But the police like couldn't or didn't arrest anyone else because they didn't know if they had the legal authority to do so.
Yeah. Okay, my brain hurts, Gabe.
Yeah,
My brain hurts for these last 2 paragraphs.
yeah. It was weird. And basically the police told Clerk and Lennox, who continually asked them to like come and get rid of these picketers.
Yeah.
And they basically said like, unless you see something that actually counts as disorderly conduct or is a riot, we can't do anything.
That's so like, that's such a relief to hear the police say that we cannot arrest people unless they do something illegal. I like that. I like the concept of it.
Well, there weren't any acorn trees, so oak trees, not acorn trees, Gabe. Anyway.
I don't know. Well, I mean, they produce acorns, Gabe. Is it acorn?
That's true.
I mean, it's fine.
Yeah. So by the
drive-by
22nd
nutting. That poor cop.
By October 22nd, there were rumors that the company was going to close everything they had in Wilmington and move back to Haverhill.
Oh my God.
William Clerk denied these and stated that he was going to outlast the strikers. And there had apparently been zero communication between the company and the Knights of Labor at this point.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, they were just completely ignoring the Knights, who had been asking for negotiations. And so they brought in scabs to replace the 20 workers. And Mr. Clerk also noted in one of the interviews that he gave that he felt the laws of Delaware offered no protections for a businessman, and he believed that they completely favored the workers. So he was very upset.
No.
Oh yeah. He was very upset that the police weren't just going and cracking skulls for him.
Bitch, I thought you did your homework. I thought Delaware was like heaven for the businessman. What happened?
Yeah. Well, he also said that the laws of the nation as a whole tended towards communism in 1885.
I love that.
So, yeah.
I love that.
Which,
I mean, people still say that today. So
I know. It's the most frustrating part, that this shit hasn't changed at all.
Nope.
So, on the other hand, Thomas Dempsey, the young man who was arrested for carrying a placard, was acquitted by Judge Cummins.
Okay.
Which is probably what Clerk was most upset about. So the judge said he was very explicit that he was only being acquitted of disorderly conduct and inciting a riot in this very specific instance, because all he did was carry a banner.
Okay.
But the judge went on to say that the objectionable banner might incite more incidents of disorderly conduct, or possibly even rioting. But until he did, he couldn't charge Dempsey with inciting a riot.
It's so fucking stupid, Gabe.
Mm-hmm.
How about like low wages? Doesn't that incite a riot? Shouldn't maybe we should arrest some business people?
You'd think so.
Yeah.
But no, having a sign that says
it's a sign,
go on strike, and not even go on strike, just don't scab. That is incitement to riot, or could potentially be incitement to riot.
Communism, Gabe. It's all communism.
It's communism. Communism is when judges kind of obey the letter of the law. So he also cautioned against using the banner in the future.
Okay.
But could only pass judgment on a case-by-case basis. So while all of that was going on, the Knights of Labor had continued to organize, not just within Clerk and Lennox, but started to organize all of the other leather workers around the city. So they held a big, it was their annual, this was their first big mass meeting. Sorry. At the Opera House Lecture Room. And this had delegates from Philadelphia and New York. So when the delegates first arrived there, they were met at the train station by a huge crowd, and then were paraded from the train station to the Opera House, accompanied by the 1st Regiment Band.
I like this. All right.
Then the delegates gave speeches about how working men deserved the full value of their labor, and that the capitalists robbed them of this, and that they should all unite for their common defense. And at this point, the strikers were also getting $8 per week for being out on strike, and then which was like the average wages for an unskilled worker.
Okay.
And then if you were carrying the picket sign, because they only had 2 picket signs, But if you were carrying the picket sign, one of the picket signs, you would get an additional $1.25 a day.
I like that.
And that's just to show like they had that infrastructure already in place to get strike payout, and
That's nice.
Yeah, while they were getting $8 a day for or $8 a week for strike pay, it really wasn't that much. So the strikers started taking other jobs, which meant that they could stay out even longer. And also meant that if Clark and Lennox started to actually negotiate, they might not get all of their skilled workers back. So that it was another like very common tactic in the 19th century that when you went on strike, you would just get a different job.
Yeah, we've done episodes like that where they were just like, all right, I'm going to go work as a barista.
One of the strikes in Philly where like they were talking about guys getting jobs as trolley drivers.
I love that. I love
that's a career in of itself to be a trolley driver. Oh God, can you imagine if they like Uberized trolleys?
Oh my God, that'd be the funniest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life, Gabe.
Oh God, if we gigify SEPTA working, God. Don't
trolley pulls up. Are you Tiffany? Yeah, I'm Tiffany. Are you Bob? All right, good.
We need to cut this because SEPTA has been consistently coming up with the worst possible ideas to cut this segment because I don't want anyone from SEPTA corporate to think about this.
And they're vaguely familiar with this podcast, so we better watch out.
We are the official labor history podcast of SEPTA, so
according to me, Gabe's inner demons.
Okay, so now we're moving into November. Knights of Labor finally started actually offering negotiated settlements with the company.
How long have we been at it now?
This is now a month.
Okay. So a month without any kind of negotiation.
Yeah.
All right.
And Clark and Lennox continued to ignore them. But while Clark and Lennox was stonewalling them, the Knights were feverishly organizing all of the other leather workers in the city, to the point where they were forming a new local association at the rate of about one per week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, holy shit. Okay.
So it's, from what I can tell, this was a lot of these leather factories were fairly small and had like 20 or 30 people in them.
Yeah.
So they were basically going like factory to factory and just organizing those groups of people. But I mean, if you think about it, like it's not that much different than like the barista organizing.
Gabe, you like read my mind, buddy. Because I'm thinking of like the detractors of these barista unions going like, oh, there's only like 10 people in the store. Why did they need to unionize, you know?
Mm-hmm. And when you look at it from like an industrial side and you have 20 or so workers in each store, but you've organized 100 stores.
Yeah, there you go.
Then that's something.
Yeah.
So they had been organizing a lot of leather finishers, and had actually started training some of the workers for leadership positions. One guy who showed up, Matthew Colwell, who, remember his name because he will keep showing up. He ran for the sheriff of Newcastle County in January of 1886 on a Knights of Labor ticket.
Really?
Because they basically just went full force into trying to third party their way into power. And it was another like weird late 19th century third party attempt. But in the mid 1880s, they did make a run of it. And by December of 1885, they had a leather worker assembly established in the city. On December 18th, they held their grand annual reception at the Citizens Rink, where they had ice skating that lasted from what they said from 7 to 4 o'clock.
Or whenever
So
the
I'm
ice
not-
melted.
Yeah. I'm not sure if that was 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Because they also had dancing and like a bunch of speeches, or if it was 4 o'clock in the morning.
Damn, ice skating to 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Damn,
So
okay.
the ice skating lasted until 9:15.
Okay.
At which point John Huey, who is apparently a figure skater, from what I can tell,
All right.
would perform some very fancy skating.
Ooh.
And then after that, they would have a grand march, and then dancing.
Okay.
Just
Just dancing.
yeah.
It's a grand march,
Yeah.
but it's just fucking dancing.
Well, the grand march, I think, was from the ice rink to a hotel where they then did the dancing.
Damn, this is like
So-
fun.
Yeah. And 166 couples attended this reception, and 40 of them traveled all the way down from Philly for it.
Oh, that's nice.
So, like, this was a big to-do.
That's a nice date night.
Yeah, no, and I think it was $1.25 attendance. So, a day, all you had to do was carry the picket sign for a day, and
There
then
you
you
go.
would get in. Now, the clerk and Lennox strike finally came to an end in January of 1886, because they finally started actually negotiating.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah. So they had decided at this point to move the finishing factory back to Haverhill,
Oh, God.
completely abandoning their factory in Wilmington, but had agreed to rehire the striking workers and fire the foreman who started the whole thing.
All right.
So,
The
like,
turncoat.
yeah, the Knights up in Haverhill kind of won out. The guys in Wilmington admittedly got screwed.
Yeah.
But it also seems like all of them got different jobs at this point anime.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like
So,
everybody,
like-
like, yeah, if I'm driving a trolley right now, but I'm sorry, I can't
Yeah.
come back.
Well, it's like whatchamacallit from Seinfeld, where
The bagel strike.
yeah, Kramer's been on strike for like 12 years or something. But story, of course, doesn't end there though, because that
No.
would be kind of anticlimactic. So this was also a period of like incredible activity for the Knights of Labor nationally. And there were strikes everywhere. Weirdly, in Wilmington, despite the amount of organization,
Okay.
there weren't a lot of strikes. But they kept holding these massive meetings. On 13th of February, they held a meeting at the Institute Hall with representatives from 12 lodges in Wilmington and one guy from Detroit.
One guy from Detroit.
And so he gave a very long speech that took up 3 solid columns in the newspaper. I'm
Damn.
not going to read all of it.
Thank you.
He finished his speech with, "It is labor that makes the world blossom like a rose, that clothes the naked, and in fact is the basis of every condition of honest happiness that we may hope to experience."
I
and
used to
basically-
write poetry in 8th grade too, Gabe.
Yeah. But it's like his entire speech was some pretty good class consciousness
Yeah, that's
for
nice though.
the 1880s. And he also had some amount of racial solidarity, talking about how a black coal miner could be a gentleman.
Oh,
Talking about
That's
how
great.
women do labor as well.
okay.
And that there should be no distinction between trades and professions.
All right.
So yeah. He also said, ask the doctors about the value of cleaning the gutters, about the conditions that give rise to typhus, cholera, and other troubles. The scavenger need not be ashamed of his province. The value of the scavenger's work to society is more than that of all the tight-panted dudes the whole of Wilmington will raise for the next 10 years.
Tight Panted Dudes is my favorite Mott the Hoople album.
No, it's a great line. But again, still just like some cool little class consciousness.
Yeah. From one guy in Detroit.
Yeah, from one dude. But according to the newspaper, everyone loved his speech, and they were all laughing at all of his jokes because the newspaper very specifically put in brackets laughter.
I love that.
Whenever he made a joke. So while all of this organizing was going on, Morocco manufacturers in Wilmington were also organizing themselves because they created a local Morocco manufacturers exchange.
Okay.
So as opposed to the one that was covering the whole East Coast, this was just in Wilmington, and more specifically focused on fighting organized labor. By like early spring, the Knights had almost the entirety of the Morocco industry organized, like thousands of workers at this point, or over 1,000 workers. And on March 22nd, they put out a demand in the paper stating that they wished to meet with the Manufacturers Association on Monday afternoon at Kirkwood Hall in Wilmington. So basically they put out like a personal ad almost in the paper being like, hey, meet me at Kirkwood Hall. I want to talk to you. And the manufacturers ghosted them. They didn't respond.
Come on.
And so after that, the Knights declared that they would go on strike. And at 12:45 on March 23rd, 12:45 in the afternoon, on March 23rd, 1886, 1,000 members of the Knights, and these were black and white workers, immigrant, native-born workers, men and women, all met at Institute Hall. And the meeting reportedly was so quick, orderly, and secretive that the meeting had actually started before the employers even knew that there was a strike.
Wow.
Apparently, all of the workers at like precisely 12:45 just disappeared from the shop floor.
Yeah, that's pretty. I was thinking about like all that secret stuff is like all shits and giggles, but like it actually has usefulness.
Yeah.
Good.
And yeah, because they're doing like, I remember we were talking about how they would do stuff like write cryptic messages about when their meetings would be held in chalk on fences and stuff like that. But clearly that works when you see a sign or when you see something like 12:45 Kirkwood Hall in whatever cipher that they would use. And then, like, okay, put down my tools at precisely 12:45 and walk out.
I like it.
Yeah, and so there were like engineers who had left the furnaces still burning that would boil the pots for tannin. Workers left leather like out on the table in various states of completion, and they just disappeared. And then no one could get anyone leaving the Institute Hall to divulge anything about what happened in there.
Good. All right.
And Matthew Colwell, who at this point was the executive of the local assembly, when asked, responded, "I have more important things to do than talk with reporters," and walked away.
Shit. All right.
Yeah. So in the end, about 1,500 workers went out on strike and basically shut down the entire Morocco industry in Wilmington. The strikers themselves were reported to be incredibly orderly. The entire operation was being run out of the Morrow building, which is where the local assembly's headquarters were. Reportedly, there was one man who got drunk.
It's the guy from Detroit.
Yeah, probably. But he was led out of the building and taken home and like kindly but forcefully told to stay at home.
By the union?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they were
Fair.
policing themselves
I
very
like that.
thoroughly.
Okay.
So Colwell finally spoke to the press and explained that their primary grievances were that the workers in Wilmington were being paid significantly less.
Yeah, 35 cents, right?
It was 35 cents less than Boston.
Oh, okay.
Or it might have been 30.
Less. They're getting paid
probably-
less. That's all.
Yeah,
that
they're getting
matters.
paid less. And then they also demanded that the manufacturers recognize the Knights as the bargaining agent for their workers.
Okay.
And the strike seems to have worked very well because after marching out on the 23rd, they got a meeting with the manufacturers on the 24th.
Hey, that's the next day.
Yep. So did not take long. The strike was called off while negotiations continued.
Okay.
But the manufacturers kept stonewalling and refused to actually negotiate on anything. So the workers got more and more fed up with being paid less. And on March 29th, went out on strike again.
Jesus Christ.
After another mass meeting of 1,000 workers.
All right.
This time, not everyone obeyed the strike call.
Yeah.
So groups of workers went from shop to shop enforcing the walkout. So basically, they just went in and were like, hey, you get the fuck out. You're on strike. But the second strike that started on March 29th, that one lasted longer. They didn't cut it off after a day.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And some of the manufacturers actually broke ranks, got their workers back, and started paying them at the improved rate.
Nice.
But it wasn't really enough to like cause any major rifts within the manufacturers exchange. Then in May of 1886, the Haymarket Affair in Chicago happened.
Oh, great.
And even though the Knights of Labor were like, because the Knights of Labor were technically the ones leading the strike,
Yeah.
but it wasn't necessarily the strikers that actually did anything wrong.
Mm-hmm. That doesn't matter, Gabe.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter.
And even like I personally don't think that the Haymarket martyrs threw the bombs, mostly because all of them had fairly decent alibis, including, of course, the one that I have to always mention, which is I couldn't have thrown the bomb. At the time I was in my basement making bombs, which is the best alibi. And has to be brought up every time. But
that's pure class.
Yeah. Regardless, the Knights of Labor basically got slanderized by the Haymarket Affair, and it made it like immediately more difficult to organize people, because basically everyone's view of the Knights was just immediately divisive. So either you were 100% for them or you hated them.
It's like you instantly became a terrorist organization.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's not good for PR.
Yes. And that is how people viewed it.
Yeah.
So strikers started to break ranks, which then led to violence breaking out between strikers and scabs. Some Morocco worker tried returning to work, then got assaulted by strikers, which then the Knights denounced the violence, but that was just like another level on top of them already basically being accused of terrorism.
Yep.
So the strike started to fall apart throughout the summer. It dragged on, but either strikers were returning to work or just getting better jobs and leaving the industry. Then Terence Powderly, the national executive for the Knights, met with the Manufacturers Association in August. That didn't come to anything. They were still stonewalling them. And then finally on October 15th, 1886, the strike was called off. About 300 strikers apparently stayed out on strike, but most had already been replaced by scabs.
Okay.
And it kind of weirdly fizzled out, but that was the Wilmington, Morocco strike.
Sipping on gin and juice, laid back.
Hey, this is Gabe, and thanks for listening to the Labor Jawn podcast. So for now, we live in a system called capitalism. And under this system, you have to exchange currency for goods and or services. And to that end, Sam and I put a lot of time, effort, and a fair chunk of our own money into keeping this podcast available and generally free. And if you'd like to help support us doing that, you can give us some money at patreon.com/laborjawn. And if you choose to do so, we'll give you a fancy button every year, some cool merch, and an extra episode once a month, whenever possible, because life is hard, because capitalism. Anyway, we'd really appreciate your support if you've got a few bucks to spare. Also, if you happen to be a member of a union, and you want your fellow union members to learn about local labor history, we do commission work, like presentations, pamphlets, that kind of stuff. So if that sounds cool, you can shoot us an email at laborjawn@gmail.com, or contact us through laborjawn.com, or message us on social media, or whatever's most convenient for you. But if that sounds interesting, feel free to reach out. And anyway, thanks for listening. Solidarity. Have fun.